How you doing, guys? Welcome to eMentor, and today I want to attempt to talk about the whole notion of scarcity from a particular kind of standpoint. I say attempt because what I'm about to try and explain often feels clear in my head, but I'm not entirely sure exactly how it's going to come out. And again, just to remind those who are maybe listening for the first time, I don't take notes, I don't read notes, I don't have some screen in front of the camera. I'm just looking straight at the camera, which is often a bit odd, but I'm doing the best I can to try and be here and serve. But anyway, I often find that people who come across my work or come into my work or step into a retreat or step into a weekend workshop or whatever it happens to be, unbeknownst to themselves, are often kind of almost moving through life, and they're moving away from what they don't want. They're kind of running from what they don't want, or they're trying to make sure and ensure, like, no matter what, that they don't experience something they've experienced in the past, whether it was poverty, whether it was a poor relationship, whether it was poor physical health, whether it was a business failure. They're trying to kind of run away from that, and they're very clear on what they don't want in life. And therefore, they think they're clear on what they do want, which is the opposite of what they don't want, if that makes any sense. In other words, the opposite of what they've experienced. But what I'm trying to imply here, or get to eventually in this video, is that I don't believe that necessarily serves you. It's more of a scarce, fear-based place, and it's not necessarily allowing life to unfold a little bit while pursuing those things that you want. You know, my own wife shared a story recently on stage about running from something she didn't want, and constantly, you know, kind of making decisions throughout her life based on the things that she didn't want, but forgot to stop at some point later in life and say, okay, great, you know, maybe I'm not far away from the thing I didn't want, but I'm far enough away that it shouldn't run my engine anymore. It shouldn't drive me emotionally anymore. And she stopped, and I remember having a conversation one day with her saying, so what do you want? And I promise you, she looked at me with such surprise. It was one of the most awkward questions that I could possibly have presented to her. It's so simple. I may as well have said, what is the Chinese for pizza? And she doesn't speak Chinese, so just so we know. Like, what is the Chinese for pizza? Like, you know, it was just like, she was just so, like, it was like I asked her something like so foreign, and yet all I was asking is, what do you want? Because she'd spent her whole life running from what she didn't want. An aspect of her past, which I won't get into today, but she was running so fast or so far from what she didn't want, and chose a career, chose a city, chose a lifestyle, chose everything around that, and forgot to turn that off and actually stop and consider, okay, so I've been running from what I don't want, so now what do I want? And this might sound so ridiculous to some people. This might sound so almost irrelevant to others. And it might be relevant, genuinely might be relevant to others. But actually, if you really sit back and are open to this conversation, what you might find is more relevant than you think. That often we drive, or we're driven to achieve the things that represent the opposite of what we don't want. And I believe that is scarcity. I believe that is not necessarily a healthy place, because I think what happens in that place is the opportunity for making mistakes, getting into bed with the right or wrong person, I should say, in not just a kind of an intimate relationship capacity, but a business capacity. You know, making a decision to open the wrong business, or making a decision to take the wrong job, or making a decision to, you know, live in the wrong geographical location. So much of our lives have been decided by ourselves based on what we don't want as opposed to what we want. And some people might say, well, isn't it the same thing? No, it's not the same thing. I agree to some extent. It's good to know what you don't want in life, but it's even better to know exactly what you want in life. And all I'd ask you to do is sit down and consider that, and maybe journal for a little bit on it, or ask yourself some questions. Am I really going towards what I want, or am I running from something? And what is that thing? And I'm not asking you to go back and uncover it and figure it all out, but at least be aware of the fact of what is driving you. So hopefully this video makes some sense. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I know it makes a lot of sense to the people that I work with when I uncover this with them, and they start to see that actually they have an opportunity to see life and their future in a more positive and different way, as opposed to a scarce, fear-based way as well. So hopefully that's helped, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.